Hi guys, and welcome to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the Matt Reeves Batman film, because I've recently watched it and it's on download as well now. I watched it in the cinemas when it first came out, and I haven't actually talked about the new Batman yet after watching it. So please like this video and please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell. Please make sure you are subscribed and you have your notification bell switched on, because a lot of the people sometimes will not get updated about the videos, and which I don't want. I'm sorry if I haven't been doing any videos lately, guys, but I haven't had a chance to. And plus, I just don't have any ideas, like major ideas for the channel at the moment. I need to go away and think about what I'm going to do on my channel now. Like I said in my last video, if people want me to buy like a cheap little headphone set with like a little mic embedded into it so I can whisper again, please let me know so I know to do it in my videos, because a lot of people miss me whispering on my channel. I'm also using a different phone as per usual, because YouTube have tried to annoy me and they put my sound out of sync. Hopefully my sound isn't out of sync with this. I checked with my last video when I did it that my sound wasn't out of sync when I uploaded it, because what I tend to do is I upload it with me speaking, but then YouTube puts it all out of sync as it's being converted. And I only found out about it roughly like last week when Victoria, who is a fan of me and Jeff's videos and she watches, she told me about it. So I'm sorry if that's the case. So anyway, I have watched the Matt Reeves Batman. I've watched it recently and I've watched it in cinemas when it first came out. So there will be some major spoilers in this video, because I'll be talking about the storyline and everything that happens in it. So if you haven't seen it, please don't watch this video, because I will be ruining the plotline for you and you will not like that at all. But it's been out for a few months now, the Batman, like Elvis has, the movie, which I talked about. I didn't really give the storyline as much, which is something I could consider talking about as well, is the Elvis storyline as well, but just mostly this now. So this Batman that Matt Reeves has directed is a lot more darker than like The Dark Knight and Batman, Christopher Nolan, and The Dark Knight Rises. And you have all these different characters in this franchise, in this scenario. And Robert Pattinson, it plays Batman. I hope I'm saying his name right. He plays the Batman in this film. And Paul Dano plays the Riddler, who is like a dark Riddler. And then you have the Penguin, who is Colin Farrell, which I wouldn't, if I had looked at him in the film, I wouldn't know it was Colin Farrell, because he looks so different with the prosthetic makeup on. No one can tell it's him. And then you have Zoe Kravitz or something, I don't know how to say her name, and she's the Catwoman. You also have Commissioner Gordon as well, which I can't remember his name. I don't know the actor's name, I've forgotten. But he's in like another film. He plays Felix Leiter in the James Bond film. But they had him as Commissioner Gordon. There was a lot of people in general that were saying that because in all the other Batman films there was a white Commissioner Gordon and it was Gary Oldman in The Dark Knight, and that everyone was getting a bit racial towards him because he was going to be a black Commissioner Gordon, which I don't care if he's white or black. I don't care if you're white or black in a situation. in real life neither, because I'm not a racial person. Like, I don't care for race. As long as you act and you do the acting part really good, I'm not interested. But people will get up in arms saying Commissioner Gordon is supposed to be white and not black, which I don't really care, to be honest. He acted as Commissioner Gordon really well, so I wouldn't care if he was. Because he plays Felix Leiter in the James Bond films, and Felix Leiter was actually a white person as well, and he played it very well. He's a good actor, that's all I'm going to say. So people who keep being racial towards him because he's black, it doesn't really matter. It's just being racist, really. But anyway, enough about that. The story is set in Gotham City, in like a darker version, well, not really dark, but like set in Gotham City. And the start of the film is it's election. Is they're trying to elect a new mayor into the town. There's a guy in it who is watching TV, and he's part of the election thing. And he's watching TV, and there's the Riddler, who you don't know is the Riddler, but he's spying on this guy, and his son comes out, and the son in the film has this like red costume on, and I said to Jeff that it looks a bit like the Scarecrow's original version of the costume, because the Scarecrow's original costume in like the animated series of Batman and in general in the games as well, if you've played the Batman games, the Scarecrow's costume is originally brown, not the Scarecrow in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, because his is just a mask. But in the original thing, it was brown. So the little kid is wearing this brown costume, and I kept thinking of the Scarecrow when I first saw it, and I don't know whether it's because Matt Reeves included it in because of that reason. Because so you could say that, because that's what I thought when I saw it. And he's playing like sword fight. He's playing like with swords with his dad, because that's his dad. He's kind of like part of the election. And they're playing sword fights, and the Riddler's got this like little spy camera thing that is spying around the house, and he's looking and he's like watching over. Because in the story, the Riddler is trying to kill anybody who was part of the bribe. There was a bribe going on with the whole entire thing, and he's trying to kill people who are part of the city that are corrupting it, which goes on throughout. And obviously the Riddler kills this guy in the beginning with like sort of like one of these, with like a hammer, but it's sort of like a carpet puller that you can pull up the carpet. And throughout the film, there's another incident where there's somebody else who is part of it as well, and his name's Gil, I think. And Catwoman goes on an investigation because Batman's trying to investigate what's been going on and why this Riddler is killing people the way he is. He's kind of like a dark Riddler, and it kind of reminds me a bit of Seven, the Batman, by Matt Reeves, as well, because of the whole concept behind the Riddler. But Zoe, who is Catwoman, goes into like a club, and she works at this nightclub because Batman goes into this nightclub and he meets Penguin for the first time, which is Colin Farrell, and he talks to him about this woman who's gone missing recently, who Zoe knows, Catwoman. And so he questions her because he knows her, but I can't remember his name in the film now, but Maroni, he kidnaps the woman, and he actually kills the woman there and there because she's to do with something, and Maroni's sort of behind stuff as well. And obviously, the Riddler gives these clues to Batman to work out what he's trying to do with everyone. And there's also a bit that terrified me when I watched it in cinemas, which was where Gil smashes through the window. There's a funeral ceremony for this cop that gets killed by the Riddler. And he smashes through the window with a car, and that shocked me because I didn't expect that to happen. And also, they tell him to get out of the car, and he's got a bomb strapped to his neck, and he has to answer 3 questions to break free. But the third question he doesn't actually answer because he said I'd rather die than tell him that because my whole family will die because of it. So he sort of like blows up, and there's this big explosion. And Batman obviously doesn't get injured, but he falls back. But throughout, eventually, the Riddler is caught in the story, and the Batman has to work out why he's doing these things. Originally, there was a deleted scene in the Batman, Matt Reeves, with the Dark Joker. There is a Dark Joker towards the end of the film, and he plays Joker really well. And he's actually got he's a really darker version, and he's got scars all over his face. His face looks really scary and terrifying. Like it's a Dark Joker, which you've never seen before. And there's a deleted scene where he was with the Joker, and he sort of questioned him about Paul Dano's the Riddler, and he's saying like what's he up to and what's his plans, and he gives him some information about the Riddler, but they didn't add it in, and it was deleted by Matt Reeves. But he captures the Riddler eventually to find out what he's planning, and because the riddle that he says is bring the rat into the light, and the rat is Maroni. So when Maroni dies, the light shines, and then they see him, and he's got like a rifle, like he was going to kill. Because he killed Maroni. No one killed Maroni but him. He killed Maroni. He said, bring the rat into the light. And obviously he kills Maroni, the Riddler. And he always wears this. He's a darker Riddler, and he wears this like mask, this gas mask. And he wears like pretty much all green. And he has like a fan. He has like fans that watch his live stream and love him. And he gets kidnapped. And the prison scene gives off a seven vibe a lot because it's really dark. I don't know if Matt Reeves was inspired by Seven, but that's what it gives off. Batman questions him, and he says like what he's planning, and then Paul Dano is the Riddler. Tries to kill Bruce Wayne because he knows about Bruce Wayne. But instead, Alfred gets blown up and he gets injured. So that was his mistake, and he gets upset. And he investigates more into the riddles and everything. And his father used to be like obviously from the Joker film, which was mostly going into the Wayne family, because they're about Thomas Wayne. And a lot of the stuff in the Batman, Matt Reeves, is a lot darker than usual about his parents and about his past. Because that was what I hated about the Batman films. In every Batman film, there was always, his parents die. They get shot after they've been to the theatres, and it was all that throughout each one. And I just thought they need them. When it comes to the Matt Reeves Batman, they sort of changed it and made it like really darkish, and made out that his father was the mayor, Thomas Wayne, and his mother was in a mental institution. He tried to cover that up and paid Maroni, and Maroni was part of it, and he was his dad's friend, and it was a darker past. And he questions him, and Paul down the Riddler says about him being an orphan. He says you don't know what being an orphan is like because obviously his parents died when he was younger, Bruce Wayne, and he says you don't know what being an orphan is like. Being an orphan is like wearing jumpers and living in a cold room, and he was explaining about it more in depth, saying that Batman doesn't know what it's like to be an orphan. He's basically been ripped out of his life, and he's not. And he said the reason why he's doing all this is so that he said, me and you keep killing all these corrupt people in Gotham City, and then obviously Batman, who's Robert Pattinson, puts down on the line and says, "I'm not helping you. What makes you think I'm helping you?" And he goes, no, this isn't how it's supposed to go. You know, we were supposed to work together and do these things together. And he finds out little clues afterwards that he leaves around. He finds out what he's trying to do with the city. Because as he's in the prison cell, he's trying to get all of his little minions, his little fan page thing to basically ruin Gotham City. Because no matter who takes over as mayor, it doesn't change the fact that the town city is going to change. So they, as soon as the mayor's elected, they basically want to shoot her and pin her down. Batman has to get in there and like sort of save everything and sort of save the day. And then in the end sequence, after all of the stuff has happened, when he saves everyone, he becomes the true hero, Robert Pattinson. And Catwoman Zoe says, I can't, she says, let us go off together and do missions together. And he says, no, I want to stay here. And she says, you do know that city's never going to change no matter what. And he says, but I want to stay here. So Zoe says, I can't stay here anymore, I have to leave. And she leaves, and the thing that's interesting about the Catwoman in this storyline is that she doesn't know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like every other hero, you know, every other woman in the story knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. But she doesn't know he's Bruce Wayne. She just sees him as Batman, and everyone calls him Vengeance. So she calls him Vengeance all the time and refers to him as the Batman and not who he's with. And she does mention a bit about Bruce Wayne and says he's just a multi-millionaire who's got loads of money and I couldn't care less about him. But she doesn't say who he really is, which is interesting. And obviously she goes on her motorbike away from him and he says, I'll see you around. And he says, take care of yourself. And at each time he says that in the film, Robert Pattinson as Batman, he says, take care of yourself. She is, I can take care of myself, all this. She's so strong-willed. And I like her as the Catwoman because it's a different Catwoman from like Anne Hathaway's Catwoman and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. But she goes off. And then there's a scene at the end where the Riddler knows he's failed at his plan. His plan's completely failed. And the Joker is in the next cell, but you don't know he's the Joker. You don't see his face, you just see parts of his face where his teeth are showing, like he's got this big massive rip in his like mouth, and you see all the teeth coming out. In the delete scene, you see him more clearly, and it's sort of like it's a disease more than an actual. And then the actual fact that he fell into a tub of acid and he's going crazy and everything. I mean, the fact of the matter is you find out in the Jack Nicholson Batman that he got thrown into acid and he becomes the Joker. And the Heath Ledger Joker is different as well, and that doesn't tell you how he becomes the Joker. And there's a Joaquin Phoenix Joker, which is a standalone Joker film. But yeah, in the end there's that, and then he says, I've failed, and then he goes, no you haven't, and he basically says, who are you? And he says, all I know is that me and you can work together to destroy Batman. and you don't know who it is, but you know it's the Joker from seeing like the shadow and everything like that, and then seeing it in the dark. If you have, like, if you watch it, you will see. If you watch it, you'll see that that it's dark, but if there's light near it, then it shows his face a little bit. And I can't remember what the Joker's name is going to be. I can't remember the actor's name who plays the Joker, but it's a darker Joker, and it's more, he's been diseased with this, the scars and everything, and the face. And it's not like he's fell into a tub of acid, so it's a different and darker version of the Joker, which I can't wait to see if they make a sequel, because I really want them to make another sequel to Batman, Matt Reeves, because I liked the story and I liked the whole concept of it, because it was a lot darker than the other Batmans, and I have to say it's a lot more, no offence to Christopher Nolan, but they're both unique artists, and I think Matt Reeves' Batman is at top for me, and it's more better than Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. I don't want to be like, oh, he's better than Christopher Nolan, because I love Christopher Nolan as well, but they're both two different artists, I'd have to say, and they both do different things. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, guys, don't watch this video because there's a lot of spoilers in it and it's a storyline, but please go and watch it if you haven't seen it already, because it's a really brilliant film and you'll love it, and it's got concepts of like Seven and other things in it. But yeah, that's pretty much the video today, guys. Sorry if I've talked on a bit longer than usual, but I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. It's a Monday today, so it's a brand new week, so I hope you have a wonderful day today. And I will see you all, guys, in the next video. Bye, guys.